So, this was a political move I talked about back in the Chandler house my parents had, and I lived with them at the time, around the mid 2010 range. Knowing the retardation that was QAnon, how far right wing retards were willing to go to accept being able to win, as in racist, discriminatory little fuck ups that believed themselves to be better for no reason other than their skin color. Obvious backdoor dark money being funneled into their lobbying and campaign efforts from people that clearly had dealings with these individuals. And more. Because I was being hacked. The reason why QAnon came up was because I decided to do a bit about the shit that they believe in, and lo and behold, it all happened to take off and go viral from people that were hacking me and decided to run with it. Now, the political move is this. We just let dumbass motherfuckers the government and the states raised and educated vote in a bunch of retarded ass, dumb, pathetic little worthless inferior people into the right wing, Republican, Senate, and House. Because rich retard people say that there needs to be a balance because we have to play fair, guys, by having one side or the other happen to have a majority. Just slim, though. Hackers, other corporations, and more knew and understood that. They let them get elected. They put effort into getting their side elected, but saw how much money and how much control and influence individuals can have on that, and realized how difficult it really would be to alter that without having billions or hundreds of millions of dollars to funnel into it. CIA, FBI, other given judiciary, intelligence, and investigatory entities in the government also saw this terroristic cell conspiratorial network growing within inside of their ranks. Conversations happened such that, well, they're legitimate, even if I don't like it, because they were voted in, and they are allowed, unfortunately, to have a voice. That's how the government works. There has been a growing, consistent drawing of party lines within the government and no longer willing to work with anyone, and offshoots that are behind the scenes funneling money in one way or another through it. It's public knowledge that most people don't even take a look at. As a result, the move was to let them get elected, to allow for the right-wing garbage fest of the Republicans to destroy themselves by having this inevitably take place thanks to the hypocritical, can do nothing right, nothing at all, mutinous styles of non-cooperational bullshit they do on their side, as the cancerous little garbage they are. That is all the political move was, and we took bets on how long it would take for their side to implode. I'm right on the money. Date and time. Perfectly. They are insanely predictable. In fact, most politicians and people, really reasonably speaking, are, and that makes sense considering a little bit more controlled and less chaotic. Which means they're reasonable, understandable, acceptable people that can actually be talked to. Most of them that aren't that predictable typically reside in institutions and are heavily medicated. That's all the political movie ever was. We saw this coming from a mile away. It's not hard to know. They would work together to undermine democracy, and they've always been doing that. The asshole, retarded Republicans, which is every one of them, and even some, unfortunately, Democrats. They're not all perfect either on that side. It's been a consistent, behind the scenes, observational look for the think tanks and more that really kind of run things behind the scenes. That propagandize, address, direct, and so on the seen by the people major players, presidents, cabinet members, so on. But they don't run anything, they don't write the speeches, they don't get told. They're the ones that do the telling as to where to look, when to go, and so on and so forth. Same thing with corporations, and same thing with influencer networks and creators. They are very influenced, and easily so. Those are the individuals that have always been listening in for a long period of time. I didn't want them to. I didn't want to help them. And I gave up trying because personally, my whole aspect of belief these days has become, yeah, sure, I know things can get better, but you know what? It's also been, why not just let them all die? Let it fucking cave in and implode on itself. Let the government fucking just die. Let's fucking rebuild something for once. It'll actually be good. Ever. I've gotten to such a depressed fucking place with this whole thing that I hate this thing and I don't care. At all, practically, because it's impossible to actually change laws, it feels like, at amendments. It definitely seems, though, it's just the worst. The way it's set up sucks, and I'd rather the entire economy crash, I'd rather people be out on their ass, I'd rather the whole fucking thing implode, and all the rich people run the hell away out of this goddamn country. And let people who give a shit and can't run actually rebuild things since they do all the work anyways. So, if you must know why it is I don't find this to be incredibly, I don't even see it as anything at all of a little news from McCarthy's and fuckface McGillicuddy. No. Gates. The retardation of a person walking around with slick back little fucking rat-like hair from the 80s as if he's cool. The point is, I'm not Republican. I'm an independent, sure, but I mostly lean Democrat. That's always been the case. I don't like Republicans. They don't really try and do much. Granted, the things that I do like about them are that they're trying to destroy the entirety of the nation and end its economy and prevent anything from ever being able to get up and finally collapse the damn fucking government for once and let it grow into something new for once. That's the only thing I really like about them. So there you go.